Chapter 821. There must be complaints, but they're just complaining. In private they're quite well behaved and they're not half-hearted in their work. That's good. We can arrange some better resources for them. Especially for Huang Zitong and the others. We can arrange for the endorsements that we had our eyes on before. Everyone saw Su Yiyan's protectiveness. The reason why she didn't give these people a lot of resources from the beginning was because she wanted to give them two reasons. Firstly, he wanted to give these people some time to find their own positions. Secondly, he wanted to see how these people's mental fortitude was after suddenly becoming famous. The reason why this industry was so flashy was that some inexplicable dirty things were one reason. Another reason was that artists liked to be arrogant when they became famous. What she wanted was a money tree that could suck in money for a long time. She didn't want to be a weed that could be trampled on by anyone who wanted to dig their own grave. How are the filming of the dramas that you invested in before? A few of them have been finished. The fast ones have been submitted for review, and the slow ones are still in post-production editing. It may take a month or two to finish filming the period dramas and xianxia dramas that have relatively long plots. Su Yiyan's eyes flashed slightly and she nodded. Okay, I see. Su Yiyan received an olive branch from Hai Yi as soon as she went to work. She was in a subtle mood. On the other side, xuanhuan, who had shamelessly taken more than half a year of paternity leave, also encountered a little trouble. Ever since xuanhuan had appeared at the company's shareholders' meeting and removed Huaqihan from the position of the company's head at lightning speed and replaced him, Huaqihan had been looking for trouble with xuanhuan. Unfortunately, xuanhuan didn't give him the chance. Although Huaqihan wasn't penniless when he was kicked out of the company, he should have been high and mighty, enjoying the flattery of others, but now he had become a stray dog. This psychological gap was the most fatal. He wanted to rush back to the company and take everything back from xuanhuan. However, the security guards at the door, who were originally just watchdogs in his eyes, stopped him outside. No matter how much he punched and kicked, he was not allowed to get close to the company. He even directly pushed him to the ground after being angered. Huaqihan had always been pampered and was not young anymore. How could he be a match for these tall and strong security guards? He fell on his butt on the spot. The physical pain was secondary. Huaqihan could never forget the way the people around him looked at him at that time. Huaqihan, who had been deeply humiliated, returned home and smashed everything in the house to pieces. After that, she still felt that it was not enough to vent her anger, so she wanted to go to the family Hua mansion to find trouble with xuanhuan. She even maliciously thought that it would be best if she could meet Su Yiyan when she went there. His son was gone, so what right did xuanhuan's son have to come to this world? Anyway, he had nothing now. Even if he died, he had to drag a few people down with him. It would be best if one of them died so that xuanhuan would have nothing left. Huaqihan had wishful thinking, but he couldn't even touch the edge of the old mansion. Huaqihan went back and lost his temper again. He wanted to find someone to help him, but he found that the people who usually came and went at his beck and call had already hidden far away. It was good enough that they didn't take advantage of the chaos to trample on him, let alone help him. Before he could do anything, bad news came from home. Hua Xiaofeng rushed into the old house where they lived with a few people and took away all the cash and jewelry in the family. Hua Xiaofeng's move was tantamount to the last straw that broke the camel's back. Chapter 822. After Huaqihan received the news, he almost fainted on the spot. Unfilial son, this unfilial son. When he returned home and saw the mess on the ground and the broken safe, he was so angry that he almost spit fire. Call the police right now. Get someone to arrest him. I want him to go to jail. No. Unexpectedly, it was Xue Xiao who persuaded Huaqihan at this time. Brother Han, there are so many pairs of eyes outside staring at us, waiting to see us make a fool of ourselves. If this matter is spread out, I don't know how many people will secretly laugh at us behind our backs. And at this time, if they know that our money has been robbed. Xue Xiao's words were like a basin of cold water poured over Huaqihan's head. Yes, calling the police at this time was tantamount to handing the evidence to those who laughed at them behind their backs. Those who had been indifferent to him might hit him when he was down and couldn't wait to trample him into the ground. Moreover, his son had brought people to rob his father. If this matter was spread out, he would really become a laughingstock for everyone. Between face and money, Huaqihan finally chose the former. It was just that he couldn't swallow this anger no matter what. He secretly swore in his heart that one day he would find Hua Xiaofeng and kill this ungrateful unfilial son. Obviously they were father and son, but they had reached the point where they would not stop until one of them died. It was really sad. The people around him left him one by one. Huaqihan was resentful and angry, but he trusted and loved Xue Xiao more and more. Baby, I only have you now. You can rest assured that I'm just frustrated for a while now because of xuanhuan, that be asterisk starred. When I recover, I will immediately get back what belongs to me. When that time comes, I will marry you in a grand manner and make you the one and only Mrs. Hua. Shui Xiao obediently approached Huaqihan's arms and said softly, I don't care about status. As long as I can be with Brother Han like this, even if I don't have a status, even if life is hard, I will gladly endure it. Huaqihan. Huaqihan was greatly moved and hugged Shui Xiaoyu tighter. He was thinking about how to take revenge on Hua Xiaofeng and his mother and how to compensate his little lover. He did not notice the coldness and disgust in the eyes of the person in his arms when she lowered her eyes. Hua Xiaofeng's last kick had greatly damaged Huaqihan's vitality and temporarily diverted some of the firepower away. By the time Huaqihan recovered a little, the baby in Su Yiyen's stomach had already been born. Even the full moon ceremony had begun. Huaqihan gritted his teeth in hatred. He had racked his brains to get himself an invitation to the full moon ceremony and came to ruin the lively banquet. But once again he found that those who used to have close relationships with him had already changed their faces. Not only did he fail to get an invitation, but he also suffered a round of mockery and humiliation. In the end, he had no choice but to forge an invitation card in an attempt to get away with it. However, before he entered the hotel, he discovered that his name had already been blacklisted by the hotel. Not to mention that the invitation card in his hand was fake. Even if it was real, it was impossible to let him in. Huaqihan flew into a rage and almost fought with the hotel staff on the spot. In the end, he was politely asked to leave. After several setbacks, Huaqihan, who had experienced the fickleness of the world for a few months, only felt that now he was like a stray dog, worse than a rat crossing the street. And the person who caused all this was now sitting in a high-rise building, enjoying the various benefits brought by money and power. Chapter 823. Was Huaqihan willing to accept this? Of course he was not. After learning that xuanhuan had finally returned to work at the Hua Corporation, Huaqihan immediately contacted a large number of media outlets, hoping to use public opinion to make things difficult for xuanhuan. Little did he know that what he did was tantamount to a clown in xuanhuan's eyes. Young master, Huaqihan came downstairs again. Although xuanhuan had taken over the Hua Corporation from Huaqihan, he did not trust anyone in the company. Ignoring the senior executives who tried to curry favor with him and tried to plant spies around him, xuanhuan directly transferred Zui Yanbai over and let him be his chief executive secretary. During his absence from the Hua Corporation, Zui Yanbai handled the company's affairs on his behalf and had the same right to speak as him. Not only did those higher-ups fail to do so, they had no choice but to look up to a young junior. How could they endure such humiliation? During xuanhuan's absence, this group of people had made things difficult for Zui Yanbai. Fortunately, Zui Yanbai was not a simple person who could be bullied. He had given these people several big gifts while talking and laughing, so many people were now afraid when they saw him smile. Again? Xuanhuan raised his eyebrows slightly and instantly caught the key point. Did he come often during my absence? Not often. He came to see you every 10 days or half a month. When he saw that you were not here, he left. 10 days or half a month. Xuanhuan sneered. After he took over the Hua Corporation, he had not come for 2 or 3 months. Once every 10 days or half a month was not a small number. What is he doing downstairs? Previously he just sent people to make trouble downstairs. Today he may know that you are coming and found a lot of reporters. He probably wants to lead public opinion and make trouble for you and the Hua Corporation. Xuanhuan's expression did not change after hearing this. He only said meaningfully, how did he know that I would come today? Or rather, how did he manage to contact so many reporters and bring them here so quickly? Zui Yanbai narrowed his eyes. He instantly understood what Xuanhuan meant, and his face turned ugly. I'll leave this matter to you. I want to know the results of Dou Tiany's infiltration into the hotel within a week. Yes. Xuanhuan stood up and was about to leave when Zui Yanbai's expression changed slightly. He was a little anxious. Young master. I'll go down and check on my big brother. But those reporters? Do you think they can hurt me? Of course not. After Xuanhuan took over the Hua group, she strengthened all the security around the company. Huaqihan could only shout outside the door. It was not so easy for him to enter the building. But Huaqihan clearly wants to bring these reporters here. Do you think I don't know what he's thinking? Xuanhuan sneered. Her eyes were full of coldness and sarcasm. After so many years of indulging in luxury, he only knows how to play these dirty tricks now. Looking for reporters? He's digging his own grave. Zui Yanbai was stunned. Only then did he remember that xuanhuan still had some things in her hands. She could throw any of them out and blow Huqihan up. She did not throw them out because too many people were involved. She did not want the whole corporation's stock price to fall too badly. But if Huqihan continued to make trouble like this, his young master might not be able to tolerate it. Anyway, his young master could afford to pay for this small amount of money. He had been in this company for a long time, so taking drastic measures might not be a bad thing. Chapter 824. At that time, Huqihan still didn't know that his unfilial son had handed the back of his neck to xuanhuan before he defected. As long as xuanhuan moved her hand slightly, it would be enough to break his throat and send him to hell. Huqihan led a group of reporters to wait downstairs under the hot sun. He thought that he would return empty-handed today. These reporters had accompanied him under the scorching sun for so long. They were resentful and would definitely do their best to criticize xuanhuan. However, before Huqihan could finish imagining xuanhuan's tragic situation of being besieged by public opinion, the person he thought would never appear walked down the stairs so openly. The reporters who had been surrounding Huqihan swarmed forward like beasts smelling meat, trying to put their microphones directly in xuanhuan's face. The security guards at the door naturally wouldn't let them do that. Before the reporters approached, they built a human wall in front of xuanhuan, separating the reporters from xuanhuan. Huqihan also reacted at this time. He quickly stepped forward and shouted, "Xuanhuan, you took over your brother's company. Aren't you afraid that your parents will come after you?" It would have been fine if Huqihan hadn't mentioned Hujinyao and Huamummi. As soon as he mentioned them, Huanhuan's face suddenly darkened. She sneered and said, "If you're not afraid, why should I be?" When the reporters heard what he said, they instantly felt as if they had been injected with chicken blood. They felt that they had vaguely spied on the secrets of the rich and powerful and could make big news at any time. Huqihan really didn't expect Xuanhuan to say that. His eyes widened and he was stunned for a while. When a few reporters saw that they couldn't get close to Xuanhuan, they changed their target to themselves and surrounded him. Huqihan seemed to have woken up from a dream. He gritted his teeth and said, "What's there to be afraid of? Dad left the whole corporation to me in his will. At that time your legs were crippled. Out of consideration for our brotherly love and pity for you, I kept helping you and encouraging you. I didn't expect that once your legs were healed, you would take away the only thing Dad left for me and even chase me out." Huqihan's words were bitter and hateful. He portrayed himself as a victim who had been bullied because of his kindness. At the same time, he also blackened Xuanhuan and blatantly portrayed him as an ingrate who repaid kindness with ingratitude. Zui Yanbai was infuriated as he listened. What did he mean by helping you out of pity and encouraging you? He almost couldn't recognize these two words. It was already good enough that Huqihan, that be *starred, did not secretly play tricks to make his young master's leg injury worse. Would he encourage him to help treat his young master's leg injury? What a joke. Compared with Zui Yanbai's anger, Huanhuan's expression did not change. He was so calm that it was as if he was listening to someone else's business. After Huqihan pretended to finish his words, Xuanhuan faintly spat out a few names. Songgangi Zhanghai Nyeminji. Xuanhuan finished reciting more than a dozen names in less than a minute. The people around did not understand why Xuanhuan suddenly recited the names. Huqihan was dumbfounded. From the moment he heard the first name, the expression on his face froze. The more he heard, the angrier his face became. When he heard the last name, Huqihan's face was as pale as paper. His eyes were wide open and he looked at Xuanhuan in disbelief. His eyes were full of horror and a trace of fluttering luck. Xuanhuan's lips curled up slightly. Her clear voice shattered Huqihan's trace of fluttering luck. "These are the names of the company's layoffs today. You should be familiar with them." Chapter 825. Huqihan had been in charge of the whole corporation for more than 10 years. After the initial panic, he quickly forced himself to calm down and said sadly, "What do you want to do? These are all old employees of the company. They have worked hard for the whole corporation even if they didn't make any contributions. You can't just drive me away, but you also want to drive away these old employees who have worked hard for the whole corporation? Aren't you afraid that the company will be disappointed?" Disappointed? If they aren't afraid that what they did will make the company's employees feel disappointed, why should I keep this fig leaf for them? When Xuanhuan said this, he stared into Huqihan's eyes. His gaze was cold and sharp, as if it could penetrate his outer shell and strip away all the greedy and dirty thoughts in his heart and expose them to the world. They are indeed old employees who have worked hard for the company. If they knew their place and diligently did their jobs, I naturally wouldn't touch them. It's just that they shouldn't have used their identities to do things that are against the law. Huaqihan's face completely changed. He struggled to push aside the reporters in front of him and wanted to rush forward. Xuanhuan winked at the people in front of him. The originally impenetrable human wall quickly opened a small gap, just enough for Huaqihan to squeeze through. The reporters behind Huaqihan suddenly came to their senses when they saw this. They also ran over, wanting to tear open the gap and rush to Huaqihan. Unfortunately, their reaction was not as fast as the security guards, and they were once again blocked outside the human wall. Some people were so angry that they couldn't help but want to curse. They were stopped, but their mouths were still a little unwilling to be left out. President Hua, do you have any explanation for Mr. Hua's claim that you colluded with the company's old employees to force his brother out of the Hua Corporation? President Hua, is what Mr. Hua just said about the will true? Did old President Hua really leave a will to Mr. Hua? So now you're taking the Hua Corporation away from your brother. Are you dissatisfied with old President Hua's arrangements before his death? President Hua, what exactly do you mean by breaking the law and breaking the discipline? The old employees you just mentioned, were they fired because they did something unspeakable? Will you hold them accountable? President Hua, please answer our questions. President Hua. The reporters asked questions one after another. Xuanhuan casually responded to any one of them, and it was enough to turn into big news about the internal disputes of the rich and powerful. However, he did not say a word. Instead, he looked coldly at Huaqihan, who had rushed up to him and was about to grab his collar. Xuanhuan narrowed her eyes. She stretched her long legs forward and kicked Huaqihan's knee under the cover of the human wall. Huaqihan instantly lost his balance and fell to his knees in front of Xuanhuan. Zuyenbai was so happy that he whistled on the spot. Aya, it's fine that you're here. Why are you suddenly giving me such a big bow? Quickly get up, quickly get up. You're already so old, aren't you shortening our young master's lifespan? That being said, Zuyenbai had no intention of stepping forward to help her up. From beginning to end, she stood by the side and watched coldly. She even seemed to be gloating. You. Huaqihan almost exploded with anger. He struggled to get up, but Xuanhuan held his shoulder and kept him in a kneeling position, unable to move. Do you know where I got these things? Chapter 826. Huaqihan's whole body trembled, and his face went blank for a moment. He knew what Xuanhuan was talking about. On the one hand, he encouraged himself in his heart. He felt that it was impossible for Xuanhuan to really get any crucial evidence. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to hold back until now. On the other hand, he couldn't help but feel nervous and afraid. What if he really did have it, then wouldn't he? Xuanhuan saw the fear in Huaqihan's eyes and sneered with some sarcasm and temptation. Go back and ask your good son. Huaqihan's face changed and he roared, Impossible. Xuanhuan stared at him condescendingly and said with pity, Why is it impossible? Do you think he won't betray you, or do you think he doesn't have the ability to get what you are trying to hide? Huaqihan's face turned green and white, but he couldn't say a word to refute Xuanhuan. Hua Xiaofeng had already taken his family's money and ran away. Huaqihan couldn't say that it was impossible for his son to betray him. As for whether he had the ability or not, in Huaqihan's opinion, it was indeed impossible for Hua Xiaofeng to have this ability. But the key was that before the father and son fell out, Huaqihan also valued and loved his son very much. Because of this, Huaqihan had never been on guard against Hua Xiaofeng at that time. It was not surprising that Hua Xiaofeng would get these things. Understanding this, Huaqihan trembled with anger. He had never realized so deeply in his life that it was better to have a piece of barbecued pork than to have a son like Hua Xiaofeng. Huaqihan's purpose had been achieved. She was too lazy to waste her breath on these people. She directly asked someone to throw Huaqihan out and turned to enter the company. Young master, you told Huaqihan that those things were given to you by Hua Xiaofeng. Do you want them to kill each other? Haven't they already killed each other? Ever since Hua Xiaofeng had led his men to loot Huaqihan's house, or even before that, there was no possibility for the father and son to reconcile. What he was doing now was only adding fuel to the fire, making this father and son fratricidal drama even more exciting. Not long after the farce over Xuanhuan ended, the reporters struck while the iron was hot and came up with 7 or 8 strange news versions. When Su Yiyan received the news page sent by Ling Xiaoqi, she was busy arranging for the internal staff to be transferred to other positions. She didn't want to click on the news that suddenly popped up. He glanced at the title and saw the words Family Hua Brothers Yama Wall. Family Hua Brothers? Could it be her husband? When he clicked on it to take a look, it was true. The reporter who wrote this report was obviously an experienced editor. He was very sophisticated in his choice of words and sentences. His words were concise and vivid in reconstructing what had happened at the scene. There was also a small video of the scene. The resolution of the video was not high. It was obvious that it was taken from a distance. Only the outline of the figure could be vaguely seen, but the sound was not low. When Su Yiyan first heard Huaqihan's questioning of Xuanhuan, he was so angry that he almost slammed the table and stood up. He immediately wanted to rush to the Hua family to tear Huaqihan apart. However, he was immediately met with his own man's counterattack. Although Su Yiyan, like most of the people present, had no impression of the names mentioned by Xuanhuan, he could roughly guess that these people were part of the evidence Hua Xiaofeng gave to Xuanhuan about Huaqihan's crimes. Huaqihan's reaction also confirmed this. Chapter 827. Su Yiyan was quite angry when he saw the beginning of the video, but he felt refreshed and relieved when he saw the end. Especially when he saw Huaqihan kneeling in front of Xuanhuan, Su Yiyan almost slapped the table in praise. Xuanhuan's kick to Huaqihan was blocked by the group of security guards in front of them, so the reporters with their cameras did not capture it at all. Therefore in this video Huaqihan desperately rushed to Xuanhuan, knelt on the ground and begged him for something. After hearing this, Xuanhuan leaned over and patted him on the shoulder, asking someone to drag him away. When he was carried past the reporters, Huaqihan was still in a trance, as if he had suffered a huge blow. Combined with what Xuanhuan had said to him before, some network detectives had already begun to imagine the truth behind this video. There were only a few possibilities in their imaginations. Was the so-called will of the family Hua true? Between the two brothers of the family Hua, who was the real master of the Hua group? Why did the elder brother, who was so indignant a few minutes ago and accused his younger brother of being an ingrate, kneel down and beg for mercy in front of his younger brother a few minutes later? Were there any hidden secrets in this? Also, what was the so-called layoff list? What did the second master of the family Hua mean by breaking the law and discipline? Looking at the elder brother's nervous expression, did these old employees who were about to be fired have anything to do with him? Did the things that his younger brother said have anything to do with him? Su Yiyan stared at the large group of reporters in the video and immediately guessed the whole story. Huaqihan wanted to use these reporters to put pressure on Xuanhuan, but he should also know that this would not change anything. However, he had a miserable life, but he had to watch his nemesis get better and better. How could he be willing to do that? Even if he could not change the situation, he wanted to disgust Xuanhuan. Unfortunately, he was too self-righteous and forgot that these reporters were the best at taking advantage of the situation. They helped him because they thought that he could bring them big news. When this big news was related to him, they could still turn around and bite off a piece of meat from him. You deserve it. Su Yiyan laughed and scolded him. She couldn't wait to see Huaqihan being arrested and sent to prison. As her own boss, Su Yiyan openly slacked off during working hours without any professional ethics. She repeatedly watched the blurry video several times, imagining the heroic posture of her man tearing the scum apart with his bare hands. In the end, he decided to leave early and go home to cook a table of delicious food to reward her. Unfortunately, plans could not keep up with changes. When Su Yiyan arrived home, the nanny had just finished feeding the baby and walked away. The baby lay alone in the cradle and looked around with his grape-like eyes. Suddenly he paused and shuddered. Compared to Silly Boy, who was used to playing around, Dun Dun liked to stay by the baby's side and would occasionally help the baby push the cradle. Dun Dun seemed to have sensed that something was wrong. It climbed onto the table and looked down at the cradle with its dark eyes. When Su Yiyan came in and saw this scene, she smiled. Just as she was about to approach, she heard a soft sound from the cradle. Do woo! Dun Dun was frightened by this sound and immediately rolled off the table with a howl. The little guy seemed to be amused by Dun Dun's exaggerated reaction and grinned. Haha. Then there was another sound. Do woo, Su Yiyan? Chapter 828. The little guy burped and couldn't stop. Su Yiyan watched from the side. It was fine at first, but she couldn't help burping with him. Uncle Zhang held the little guy and patted him for a while. Fortunately, the little guy stopped burping. When he turned around, he met Su Yiyan's lingering fear. He was startled and smiled faintly. Young madam, don't worry. It's normal for children to burp. Even adults occasionally burp. It's just that children's stomachs are more delicate. If they eat too much or too fast, it's easy for them to burp. Su Yiyan was deep in thought when she heard that. She then poked her son's little face and said, You drink milk so quickly every time. Be careful that you don't become fat and can't find a wife in the future. The little guy thought that his mother was playing with him. He hugged Su Yiyan's fingers and giggled. Su Yiyan played with the little guy for a while, then turned around and went into the kitchen. She took a deep breath and turned on the live broadcast camera that she hadn't turned on for a long time. After nearly 3 months, the audience in Su Yiyan's live streaming room finally waited for their host again. Oh my god, I'm crying. The host is broadcasting again. It's a lifetime series. Hello, Grandma? The host you follow is broadcasting again. Come and see. Why do I feel like the host has lost weight? Sure enough, beautiful women are just fat for fun. Upstairs, look at my helpless little eyes. After the host gave birth to the baby, she naturally lost weight. And it's reasonable to suspect that you haven't watched the host's live broadcast. The host hasn't shown her face yet. Where did the word beautiful woman come from? Did some people have their lungs pierced? As long as it's a girl, she's called a beautiful woman. Is this an adjective? It's just a courtesy. Do you think I don't know if the host has shown her face? Do you need to pretend to be a fox pretending to be a tiger and criticize me righteously? Su Yiyan didn't expect that after not broadcasting for a few months, the audience would tear her apart over whether she was a beautiful woman or not. Fortunately, the host appeared in time and didn't say much nonsense. He directly smashed a few villas to drown out those discussions. Congratulations to the host, Yan Yan, for receiving a luxurious Villa X10 from the host, Mountain Yusu. Please continue to work hard and don't let down your youth. Mountain Yusu, the host's appearance and face-related discussion is prohibited in the live broadcast room. First warning, second ban, third permanent ban. Hope you know. The notification was as domineering as ever. It silenced the noisy audience and the comments in the live broadcast room were peaceful. After a few seconds, the audience began to speak one after another. Good job, admin. Isn't it a common practice to not discuss topics about the host's face in the live broadcast room? Newbies, remember to read the rules of the live broadcast room before entering the live broadcast. If anyone still wants to incite conflict in the live stream after being reminded, they will be dealt with as trolls and paid posters. As soon as this comment was posted, it immediately received the approval of countless viewers. They had been watching Su Yiyan's live broadcast for more than a year. They boasted that they had seen a lot of storms and waves. They were more and more skilled in dealing with such matters. Su Yiyan stared at the announcement made by her host. It was as if she suddenly had a backbone. She couldn't help but smile a little more. Long time no see. I'm the host, Yan Yan. I haven't been broadcasting for a few months because of the baby. I thought everyone had forgotten about me. I didn't expect there to be so many people watching the live broadcast room. Chapter 829. When Su Yiyan said this, she looked up at the number of viewers in the upper left corner of the live broadcast room. In just a short while, a large number of viewers flooded in, and the number of viewers in the low 7 digits shot up to the high 8 digits. She was undoubtedly the top streamer. As soon as Su Yiyan said this, the comments on the bullet screen immediately increased, and a lot of flattery and confessions quickly took place. The host really doesn't know how popular she is. These are only a small number of people. At this time, many people have just gotten off work and probably haven't reacted yet. If it's any later, I'm worried that the live broadcast room will be overcrowded. I'm worried too, so I'm taking a seat obediently. No one can squeeze me out. Hello, is this Uncle Cop? I want to report that the guilty party is suing the victim first. It's clearly the host's family of 3 living happily and forgetting about us. How dare you accuse us of forgetting you? You should be punished. Punish the host by making a big meal today as a reward for us. As long as the host doesn't turn off the broadcast, we won't leave. We'll walk the flower path with the host until the end of the world. I always felt that something was missing when the host wasn't around. Now that the host is back, let's send some gifts first. After such a long hiatus, countless enthusiastic viewers spontaneously showered Su Yiyan with gifts. In a short while they pushed her back to the top of the gift list. Su Yiyan was shocked by the enthusiasm of the crowd. She was stunned for a moment before she reacted. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Thank you for your support, everyone. Stop showering me with gifts. I'm embarrassed to receive gifts after such a long hiatus. We want the host to feel embarrassed so that she can broadcast more in the future. Brothers, let's send gifts. *CK, there's such a thing. I get it. Let's send gifts. Su Yiyan's words not only failed to persuade them, but also made them send gifts even more happily. She really couldn't keep up with these people's brain circuits. Today, I'd like to bring you some medicinal cuisines for children's illnesses. Children? Did the streamer want to do this live stream because of the baby at home? Speaking of which, the host's baby is almost a month old, right? I want to see a cute baby. +1. The host and her husband's children must be very cute. Even if they can't see the host, they can look at the children. As an old single dog, my favorite thing to do is to suck puppies. If the streamer allows the baby to show up, I promise to abandon the previous harem of Zai Zai. From now on, I will only dote on the streamer's Zai Zai. Please Zai Zai, please Zai Zai. Su Yiyin looked at the comments that flashed by quickly. Even through the screen, she could imagine the greedy eyes of this group of weird uncles and aunties sharpening their knives to kill her child. The corner of her mouth twitched slightly, and she decisively ignored their requests. Children's stomachs are tender and delicate. Compared to adults, they are weaker. Usually, if the child really had a minor illness or pain, parents were also afraid that taking too much medicine would not be good for the child's health. Today, I'll bring you a few medicinal cuisines that are suitable for children's tastes, can improve children's physiques, and speed up their recovery. Su Yiyin said as she took out the ingredients for today's dishes from the cabinet at the side. She arranged them simply and placed them on the table. Today, the first thing I'm going to make today is radish honey drink and lily beer pear lotus root soup. Chapter 830. The weather has changed a lot recently, and the temperature difference between day and night is nearly 10 degrees. It's the season for colds. If adults don't pay attention, it's easy for them to catch a cold, let alone children who are weak. As soon as Su Yiyin finished speaking, she immediately got the approval of many of the mothers in the live broadcast room. Yes. My baby was affected 2 days ago. He caught a cold, had a fever, and had a runny nose. He lost a lot of weight in a few days. If the medicine is too light, it won't be so easy to recover. If it's too heavy, we're afraid that it will hurt the child. After catching a cold, he's uncomfortable. As parents, we feel like we're fighting a war. My baby is the same. He's usually very active, but when he catches a cold, he's like a kitten. Usually when he makes a fuss, I can't wait to pick him up and spank him. Now that he's not making a fuss, my heart feels sour and uncomfortable. The mothers were busy sharing their babies on the bullet screen. A group of single viewers trembled and didn't dare to speak. Sob, they couldn't keep up with others in marriage and they couldn't keep up with giving birth. Lily and pear white lotus root soup. The main ingredients are lily, pear, and lotus root. It's recorded in Materia Medica that pear and lily have the effect of purging heat and reducing phlegm, moistening the lungs and quenching thirst. Lotus root also has the effect of clearing heat. Stewing these three things together can relieve a child's cold, cough, and other symptoms to a certain extent. As Su Yiyin spoke, she tore the lily into pieces and cut the pear and lotus root into small pieces. First, she stewed the lily and lotus root for 10 minutes, then added the pear together to make the soup. I've made a medicinal diet for coughing before, snow pear with rock sugar, which is also suitable for children. Today I'm bringing another medicinal diet for coughing, radish honey drink. Radish has always been known to be better than ginseng. Oh, it's the ginseng that appeared in my live broadcast room before. New viewers who don't know can look through the previous recordings. Radish is rich in nutrients. It has the effect of reducing phlegm, stopping coughing, clearing heat, and promoting saliva. Ginger can kill bacteria and disperse cold. Together with honey and dates, it's very effective for coughing caused by colds. While Su Yiyin was speaking, the dates, radish, and ginger slices were all thrown into the pot and boiled. Both of the soups took some time. After they were cooked, Su Yiyin immediately started cooking other dishes. Next, I'll make 2 medicinal cuisines to improve the children's anemia. Some children are prone to anemia after 6 months of birth. At this time, they need to eat something to replenish their blood to improve their physique. There was a saying that one must first replenish iron in order to replenish blood. This was because iron could help the human body synthesize red blood cells, thereby improving anemia symptoms. Among all the ingredients, the liver contains the most iron element. Today, I'm going to make fresh eggplant liver and stir-fried lamb liver with chives. Both dishes used livers, but the lamb liver stir-fried with chives used lamb liver, while the pork liver stir-fried with eggplant was used. But no matter what, the white membrane on the liver had to be removed first. Otherwise, the liver would be full of a fishy smell. Not to mention children, even adults might not be willing to eat it. Su Yiyin brushed a few times to remove the film, cut it into slices and blanched it with water. Children's immunity is weaker, so you have to be more careful with what you put into your mouth. In order to avoid some invisible bacteria in the raw food, you can first boil it in water to sterilize it. It's safer. Su Yiyin fished out the slices of lamb liver as she spoke. She heated up the oil in the wok and stir-fried it with scallions and ginger until it was fragrant. Then she poured in the lamb liver. In an instant, the live broadcast room was filled with smoke, and the aroma was overflowing. Chapter 831. Stir-fried lamb liver with chives was relatively easy to make. After stir-frying the lamb liver, add soy sauce and chives, and stir-fry it on high heat for a while. It had to be said that cooking still required some talent. After Su Yiyin became popular on the live streaming website, it wasn't that no one saw the business opportunity. They copied Su Yiyin's live streaming method and wanted to create a second Su Yiyin. Especially in the 3 months when Su Yiyin was off the air, various live streaming platforms had emerged endlessly. There was even a platform that held a food live streaming competition in order to attract some viewers from Xuanhu to attract some viewers. However, these streamers who were promoted by marketing power had neither Su Yiyin's Chinese medicinal herbs, nor her knife skills, nor her good craftsmanship that turned something rotten into something magical. Some of the viewers who were led away by the topic went to other streamers on other websites and were fed a hand of poison. They had to run back to Su Yiyin's live streaming video to detoxify themselves. However, there was still a certain gap between a live streaming video and a live streaming video. After waiting for 3 months to be fed, the viewers were almost crying when they finally had a bite of good food. Without needing Su Yiyin's reminder, they couldn't wait to open the taste simulator and taste it. It's it. This familiar taste, sob. I'm so moved that I'm about to cry. After 3 months, I'm already crying in front of the screen when I'm eating the food in the streamer's live streaming room again. I hope the streamer can be more diligent in the future. Don't forget that other than the little rascal, there are also us viewers who have been waiting for you to come back and feed you. I actually quite like to eat pig liver, but there's no way to make it as fresh and crisp as the streamers. It's cooked but not burnt. Previously, when the streamer made pig liver porridge, I tried to make it myself once. It was shameful and dry and I felt wronged and cried. These viewers' mouths were also fed by Su Yiyin's craftsmanship. Some of the things that were edible before were now difficult to eat. Why else would it be said that it was easy to go from simplicity to luxury, but difficult to go from luxury to frugality? Su Yiyin removed the water from the previously marinated pig liver and cut it into pieces. When she looked up, she saw the message and smiled faintly. Pig liver is shameful because of the white film inside, so it must be removed before cooking. If it's firewood, it's probably because you've been cooking it for too long. You can just cut it short. It was more troublesome to make fresh eggplant and liver. First, the boiled sweet potatoes were pressed into a puree, then the pig liver and flour were added to mix it into a paste. After that, the thick pieces were kneaded out by hand and fried in the pan to form the eggplant and liver. After the tomatoes were stir-fried, the water starch was added, and the light soy sauce was thickened into a sauce. Then the sauce was directly drizzled over the eggplant steak. It was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, and the aroma of fresh eggplant and liver steak was the best. This dish can be eaten by babies born in October and above. However, you have to pay attention to the fact that you can't make the pork liver too hard when you cook the fresh eggplant and liver stew. Otherwise, it won't be easy to digest. Su Yiyin said while wiping his hands, "Speaking of which, I'll be bringing a few medicinal cuisines that can relieve constipation in children. Honey milk sesame soup, mulberry desert cistanche soup and sweet potato porridge. These 3 have a sweet taste and are not as bitter as medicine, so they are very suitable for children." After Su Yiyin finished speaking, she was ready to start with the most time-consuming mulberry desert cistanche soup. Just as she took out the casserole, she heard a ding-dong sound from the live broadcast room. She originally thought that her man or some old viewers who came in later had sent her some gifts. When she looked up and glanced at it, the expression on her face froze. Chapter 832. Congratulations to the host, Yin, for receiving 100 luxurious villas from a loyal viewer, not even 1 day. After testing the amount of rewards given by the user, not even 1 day, in the Yin's little kitchen, live broadcast room has met the upgrade requirements, automatically upgraded to the host's Silver Guardian. As soon as the reward message came out, the live broadcast room was immediately flooded with gifts. Not only did it stun the tens of millions of viewers in Su Yiyin's live broadcast room, but it also attracted some viewers from other live broadcast rooms and channels. If I remember correctly, a luxurious villa should cost 10,000 yuan, right? So this new nouveau riche just came in and threw in 1,000,000 yuan? The happiness of the rich is really not something that ordinary people like us can imagine. I'm so jealous. The nouveau riche who came to watch quickly gave out 1,000,000 yuan. This is no longer a nouveau riche but a godly nouveau riche, right? After the number 1 daddy on the leaderboard, is there going to be another big boss in our live broadcast room? There were many nouveau riches squatting in Su Yiyin's live broadcast room, but because of the existence of xuanhuan, the human-shaped bug who used public resources for private purposes, She occupied the number one daddy position all year round and laughed at everyone. On the contrary, it made the little nouveau riches who could easily occupy a spot in other live broadcast rooms, somewhat inconspicuous. Now, it seemed that there was finally someone who could fight. Everyone present was a little excited and wanted to see who was the real battle magnate among the nouveau riches. Of course, not everyone was happy to see this. Some viewers who were frightened by the unusual data couldn't help but feel a little worried. 1 million yuan in one shot. If he's not a real nouveau riche, then his brain must be muddled and he used something that shouldn't be used. I hope it's not the latter. I just saw two similar news 2 days ago. I hope the host won't be affected by this. I also saw the one above. To be honest, I'm a little worried. In this regard, the new big boss's response was to give Su Yiyan another 100 luxurious villas. Not even 1 day, I didn't use it, I have money. The viewers in the live stream were stunned by this move, and the comments on the bullet screen went blank for a while before a comment popped up. F***ck listen. Is this something a human would say? The words, I have money, made me smell a little rich man's domineering aura. Where did this overbearing CEO come from? Someone come and wake me up. What do you mean rich man's domineering aura? Be direct, it's clearly the fragrance of money. The viewers in the live stream were relieved and began to flatter the newly promoted nouveau riche. However, Su Yiyan's face sank after seeing this person's ID. Not even a day? If the first few words were read backwards, wouldn't it be Dotiani? He appeared in her medicinal cuisine restaurant, sneaked into the hotel where her child's full moon ceremony was held, and the company that was originally completely opposed to her suddenly had a very good attitude and wanted to cooperate with her company. Now he appeared in her live broadcast room. Su Yiyan did not think it was a coincidence. Su Yiyan's mind was spinning. He didn't know how to reasonably ignore this new nouveau riche. The top of the live broadcast room was flooded with red packets again, and the colorful special effects followed. Congratulations to the host, Yan, for receiving a luxurious villa *520 from the host. Mountain you. Chapter 833. This reward was too overbearing. It was enough to make this special effect flash in Su Yiyan's live stream for more than an hour. Not only did it shock Su Yiyan, but it also stunned many viewers who had joked not long ago that the new nouveau riche would be able to knock down the number one daddy on the leaderboard. What the F***ck? Absent. JPG, facts have proven that your daddy is still your daddy. The number one daddy on the leaderboard is the tallest. Even a pheasant who changed halfway wants to be a phoenix. Don't be afraid of him. Just do it, go for it. Wait, love is stronger than gold? When did the website have such an exclusive title? Why haven't I seen it before? I haven't seen it before either. It should be unlocked after spending a certain amount. Think about it carefully. Which streamer on the website is as rich as the one in our live stream? Look at this person's fan value. TSK, how much money did he spend on the streamer? Love is stronger than gold. I'm dying of laughter. Love is stronger than gold. Is this an official stamp? Come, let me see how many other flirtatious B***cheese want to usurp the throne. As long as the number one daddy doesn't fall, no matter how much you jump around, you'll only be a servant who washes feet. You can't even be considered a concubine. When Su Yiyan saw the 520, her eyebrows twitched. She silently shouted in her heart, what a prodigal man. Before she could finish feeling heartache, Do Tianyi, not to be outdone, also threw a 520 over. Congratulations to the streamer Yan, for receiving 520 luxurious and exquisite villas from loyal viewers. None at all? Congratulations to the streamer Yan, for receiving 520 luxurious and exquisite villas from the great host, Mulberry Without Mountain? Congratulations to the streamer Yan, for receiving 1314 luxurious and exquisite villas from loyal viewers. None at all? Congratulations to the streamer Yan, for receiving 1314 luxurious and exquisite villas from the great host, Mulberry Without Mountain. High reward after high reward flashed past the top of the live broadcast room like flowing water. The audience watched the battle between the two big shots. From the initial excitement to shock, fear, and finally numbness. They felt that their worldview had been reshaped. They almost couldn't recognize money anymore. Su Yiyan was the same. From the initial heartache to depression and then to numbness, it took less than a minute. But even if he was numb, Su Yiyan still felt his eyes hurt when he looked at the screen full of colorful special effects. Finally, he couldn't help but smash the kitchen knife he used to cut sweet potatoes on the chopping board. Enough. The kitchen knife hit the chopping board with a loud thud. Everyone in the live broadcast room, including the two merciless money-spamming machines, was shocked. Many people looked at the kitchen knife that was firmly inserted into the edge of the chopping board. Its tip even emitted a cold light. For some reason they suddenly felt a chill run down their necks, and they immediately became cowards. This is a proper gourmet live broadcast room. If you want to spam, go somewhere else. Can't you see that the screen is occupied by you? Can't you let others speak? Can't you let others watch the live broadcast? The turtle dove has taken over the magpie's nest. Do you really think this is your territory? In other live broadcast rooms, the streamers greeted the big shots on the leaderboards with smiles, hoping that they would give them more rewards. This live broadcast room was different. Not only was it not grateful to the rich big shots who were spamming the screen to fight for favor, but it was also directly attacked by the irritable big sister. Many of the audience watching the live broadcast couldn't help but gasp. They broke out in cold sweat for Su Yiyan. They were afraid that she would attack the top daddy of the leaderboards and leave. However, unexpectedly after being attacked, the two of them didn't continue to spam gifts. Instead they admitted defeat. Chapter 834. Not at all, I was wrong. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. Mountain Yusu, I didn't consider it well. I'm sorry. There won't be a next time. The audience's eyes widened as they stared at the two comments in disbelief. They had actually become cowards just like that? But why did they suddenly feel a little disappointed? However, with the two of them being scared, the audience, who had been a little worried, hardened their resolve. Tsk. Look at their tone. Don't they look like concubines who tried their best to fight for favor in front of the host but were despised? So sad. Just these two? Concubines? They're at most 3 years old. Our host is not an emperor. She's a kindergarten director. She has one child in each hand. She specializes in dealing with naughty children. Haha, today's live broadcast is really worth it. Not only can I watch the host cook delicious food and eat delicious food, but I can also witness the big shots fighting for favor. I can also imagine the overbearing president falling in love with my palace. I'm so happy. I'm talking about you. Look at what you've done to the screen in the live broadcast room. The airship is flying everywhere and the special effects are flashing. Our eyes are dazzled. So what if you're rich? Do you really think you can win the host's heart by throwing money around? Naive. The host is mine. The host is right. You can show off if you have a little money. Do you really think you can win the host's heart? Don't you know that the host has a husband and children? You're spoiling her. The audience, who had been blinded by the special effects and had some subtle hatred for the rich, seemed to have found their backbone in an instant. They began to mock and ridicule the two big shots who occupied the top of the list. As a result, after a comment was posted and when they wanted to post more, they found, "Dear user, you have been banned for half an hour because your comments in the live broadcast room violated the forum rules. Please wait patiently for the ban to be lifted. Regulate the online comments. Happiness is yours and mine. Everyone." QQ, what the hell, happiness is yours and mine? It turned out that being rich was really amazing. Not only could you be first on the list, but your father could also be a room manager. The two of them stopped causing trouble, and the live broadcast room returned to its original liveliness and harmony. Su Yiyan temporarily turned off the flashing special effects and focused on making the remaining 3 medicinal cuisines. In addition to mulberries and desert cistanche, the mulberry desert cistanche soup also added black sesame seeds and stir-fried citrus aurantium. The mulberries were slightly sweet, and the black sesame seeds were rich. After boiling, the soup was sweet and delicious, and there was almost no medicinal taste. Honey milk sesame soup was a small dessert soup after meals. Fried sesame seeds with milk and honey were added. It was fragrant, sweet, and soft. It was very suitable for children who liked sweet things. Ripe sweet potatoes also had their own sweetness. When mixed with sweet rice and boiled together with a little white sugar, it could also stimulate a child's appetite and promote digestion. By the time Su Yiyan was almost done with all the ingredients, the lily beer pear and lotus root soup was almost ready. She added the lily slices that she had prepared earlier and simmered them for 10 minutes. Okay, that's all for today's live stream. As usual, there would be a lucky draw before the broadcast ended. A few lucky audience members would be chosen, and each of them would get to taste a dish. Although today's theme is children's medicinal cuisine, these things can actually be eaten by adults as well. But do you adults have the nerve to snatch food from children? Adults who didn't have a conscience rubbed their hands in glee and expressed their lack of moral integrity. Who wasn't a baby? Don't worry, we won't show mercy just because our competitors are children. Chapter 835. The lucky draw was very fast, and the list of the lucky audience members came out immediately. Su Yiyin glanced at it and confirmed that Do Channy's ID was not on it. She breathed a sigh of relief and previewed the next livestream. Next time, if there are no accidents, the children will have diarrhea, hiccups, night cries, and nutritional deficiencies. Those who are interested can pay attention. The exact time of the livestream is to be determined. I will try my best to restore the previous livestream frequency. I won't stand you up for so long like this time. After Su Yiyin finished speaking, she ignored the people in the livestream and coldly turned off the livestream. When she turned her head, she saw the figure of her man at the kitchen door as expected. Su Yiyin narrowed her eyes and couldn't help but sneer when she recalled the huge amount of money this person had spent on the livestream not long ago. Xuanhuan looked at his wife's smile and suddenly felt a chill down his spine for some reason. He felt that he might be in big trouble. Huabeichun's crisis radar went off very quickly and decisively went up to his wife to curry favor. I heard from Uncle Zhang that you ran to the kitchen as soon as you came back. Why did you suddenly think of cooking? Su Yiyin glanced at him and thought to herself, keep pretending, keep pretending. Half an hour ago he was still spending a lot of money in the live stream, but now he was pretending to be a little white lotus. He was as innocent as he could be. I couldn't tell that he had the talent to be an actor. When I came back, I saw the baby hiccuping and suddenly had an idea, so I decided to start the live stream. The baby hiccuped. Xuanhuan thought to himself, isn't the hiccuping part of the next live stream? Since she came up with the idea because of her baby hiccuping, why didn't she do it this time? Why did she leave it for the next live stream? However, a certain someone had to wear his little vest properly and couldn't just disappear. Even if he had a lot of doubts in his heart, he had to suppress them for the time being. If Su Yiyin knew what he was thinking, she would definitely reply, I'm happy to do it. Anyway, the baby can't eat these things right now. She can do whatever she wants. Uncle Zhang said that it might be because it drank the milk too quickly and was a little bloated. I just patted him and he's fine now. Xuanhuan nodded in response, but her eyes unconsciously drifted to the few dishes that Su Yiyin had prepared. Is everything ready? Yes. I'll take it out for you. Xuanhuan didn't care about Su Yiyin's reaction. She picked up the 2 dishes on the table and ran out. Su Yiyin narrowed his eyes dangerously as he looked at his fleeing figure. You ran pretty fast. I'll deal with you later. Su Yiyin made a table full of dishes. There was porridge, soup, vegetables, and desserts. However, most of the dishes were sweet. Although children liked them, adults might not. I'm counting on you for today's meal. Xuanhuan's hand, which was putting down the vegetables, suddenly paused. Rely on me? That's right. Our baby is only a little more than a month old. He doesn't even know how to eat complementary foods. How can he eat these? This is for the big baby. Xuanhuan. So, you're saying that I'm the big baby? As if she could read Xuanhuan's mind, Su Yiyin smiled faintly and called out, Big baby, you have to eat well today too. Uncle Zhang, who was standing at the side to help, couldn't help but laugh when he heard Su Yiyin's words. Ever since Master and Madam passed away, this was the first time he heard someone call his young master a big baby. Xuanhuan was stunned. She was shy and embarrassed, and the tips of her ears turned red. Chapter 836. However, he couldn't bear to say anything harsh to his wife, so he could only silently bury his head in his mouth and silently accept his status as a big baby. Su Yiyin secretly flirted with her husband and she felt a little better. However, it was only a little. When she thought of the gifts that a certain someone threw at others in the live stream, Su Yiyin couldn't help but feel distressed. That was Huahua's money, and half of it was going to be swallowed by the platform. Although the gifts from Do Channy were probably not much, and they didn't make any profit or loss, Su Yiyin couldn't help but raise her head and look at Xuanhuan plaintively. Xuanhuan had just finished a small bowl of lily beer and pear lotus root soup when she raised her head and met Su Yiyin's subtle gaze. He had already eaten, so why did he still have such an expression? Xuanhuan frowned slightly and asked tentatively, Are you in a bad mood? Yeah. Who made you unhappy? Su Yiyin stared at Xuanhuan for a long time before she said faintly, When I was streaming just now, 2 spendthrifts were fighting in my live stream. They made my live stream a little messy, so I'm a little angry. Xuanhuan almost choked on her porridge. Spendthrifts? She wasn't talking about him, right? It's the viewers who are watching my live stream. I don't know what's going on, but they suddenly started sending gifts to my live stream. Isn't it good to send gifts? It's not that it's bad, but everything has to be done in moderation. Going too far is as bad as not going far enough. Usually when they send 1 or 2 gifts, I'll know that they're watching my live stream and supporting me, and I'll be quite happy. But today, purely out of a moment's anger, they sent special effects flying all over the screen. My viewers' comments were all covered up by them, and my live stream was also blocked by them. It felt like the fruits of my labor weren't being respected. Furthermore, we should still moderate our spending. They spent so much money in my live broadcast room. Even if they don't feel anything, won't their families have any opinions? Xuanhuan met Su Yiyan's gaze. For some reason, she suddenly felt a little guilty. Perhaps, to them, this is just a small amount of money not worth mentioning. Xuanhuan didn't think that she was a fool for spending so much money on the live stream. After all, the ID of that account was obviously related to Do Tianyi. Not only did he go around looking for people to investigate his wife, but he also went to his wife's live broadcast room and wanted to spend money to kick him down from the top of the leaderboard and replace him. The ambition of a wolf could not be clearer. If he didn't go against this scheming fellow, was he supposed to watch helplessly as this dove took over his magpie's nest, occupied his position, and snatched his wife? Why didn't they ban Do Tianyi's account? By banning his account at this time, wouldn't it be telling everyone that his financial resources were not as good as his and that he was so guilty that he could only resort to dirty tricks? It's just money, who's afraid of who? Anyway, this money would eventually go back to his pocket. As the big boss, he was sacrificing himself to generate revenue for the website. Oh. When Su Yiyan heard what he said, she could not help but glance at Xuanhuan faintly. She thought to herself, to put it bluntly, I gave him too much pocket money. Tens of millions is just a small amount to him, Jianghu, who was completely unaware that his pocket money was about to decrease, instinctively felt a trace of danger and tried to save himself. Then his gaze fell on the stir-fried lamb liver with chives. His eyes flickered. This dish. Chapter 837. Su Yiyan glanced at the dish quizzically. She frowned and asked, "What's wrong? You don't like the taste?" No. Xuanhuan shook her head. She picked up the chives on the plate and smiled. I remember you saying that this dish has another name. It's called. Su Yiyan was stunned. Her face turned red. Chives did have another name. It was called aphrodisiac. From the name, it was obvious that it had a well-known use. So, you can't wait any longer? When you were discharged, the doctor specifically said that even though you have already completed your confinement, you still need to rest for 2 to 3 months to fully recover. Why don't we wait a little longer? Su Yiyan? You make it sound like I'm desperate. Go to hell, you scumbag. I'll be a dog if I talk to you again. The quick-witted president was successfully diverted his wife's attention from the pocket money. The price he paid was that they had to sleep separately for another month. The reason he gave was, since you think I can't wait any longer but my body isn't in the right condition to do this, then let's sleep separately. Otherwise I won't be able to wait any longer. Xuanhuan, who had shot himself in the foot. I suspect that my wife is targeting me and I have evidence. Su Yiyan originally thought that when she asked Xia Junxing to explicitly reject the collaboration with Hai Entertainment, they would understand her attitude and back off. However, she had underestimated the importance Do Tianyi attached to this collaboration. The next day, Su Yiyan had just entered the company when Xia Junxing ran over with a serious expression. What did you say? Do Tianyi came to our company? Yes, President Do and his special assistant from Hai Entertainment are waiting downstairs. Do you want to meet them or get someone to kick them out? Kick them out? Su Yiyan's mouth twitched. Aren't you afraid that as soon as you kick them out, they'll contact the media and put the blame on our company? Even if we don't kick them out, they can still put the blame on us. This had nothing to do with whether or not they were going to chase him away. The main thing was that this person had come to them for what purpose? Su Yiyan? You make so much sense that I have nothing to say. Xia Junxing seemed to notice Su Yiyan's rejection of Hai Yi's President Do, so he comforted her. If you really don't want to see them, why don't you let me send them away? Don't worry, I definitely won't let them have anything on me. After Xia Junxing finished speaking, he saw that Su Yiyan did not object. He took it as Su Yiyan's acquiescence and turned to leave. Wait. Xia Junxing paused and turned to look at her in confusion. You can hide for a while but you can't hide forever. Let them come up, I will meet him personally. Xia Junxing was silent for a moment before replying, All right, I'll arrange it right away. However, please allow me to receive them as well. Su Yiyan knew that he was worried that he would clash with Do Tianyi and wanted to watch from the side, so he did not refuse. A few minutes later, Xia Junxing brought Dou Qianni and Liu over. Unlike the last time they met, Dou Qianni came in a wheelchair with Liu pushing him from behind. He looked weak and harmless. Su Yiyan was not fooled by his appearance. She knew very well that under this harmless appearance, there was a wolf that could bite your throat out at any time. Dou Qianni smiled warmly when he saw Su Yiyan. "Miss Su, we meet again." Chapter 838. Su Yiyan's eyes flashed and she pretended to be surprised. "I didn't expect you to be the boss of Hai Entertainment." "Excuse me." It sounded like a very perfunctory explanation. Everyone present knew what the truth was, but no one dared to expose this layer of window paper. Dou Qianni said with a smile, "Then what does Miss Su imagine the boss of Hai Entertainment to be?" "An old man in his 70s or 80s with a fat brain." Su Yiyan was speechless. If she hadn't known from the beginning that Dou Qianni was the person behind Hai Entertainment, she would have thought that was the image of the boss. After all, among the CEOs she had met, there were quite a few with this image. In addition, although Hai Entertainment and Dongqing Entertainment didn't have much interaction before, they were all in the same industry. The artists in Hai Entertainment had a lot of tricks up their sleeves. Before Su Yiyan took over Dongqing Entertainment was just a small company. The bigger artists were fine, but the smaller artists had suffered a lot under Hai Yi's artists. Su Yiyan couldn't possibly have a good impression of this company, so naturally she didn't have a good impression of the boss of this company. "Mr. Dou, did you come all the way here just to let me see for myself how young and promising the boss of Hai Entertainment is?" Of course not. Dou Qianni could tell that Su Yiyan didn't welcome him. A complicated emotion flashed through his eyes. He went straight to the point. "I came this time to talk to Miss Su about a joint project." "A joint project? If I remember correctly, I've already asked someone to reject it." Miss Su's rejection means that Hai Entertainment isn't sincere enough. So I came personally to bring Hai Entertainment's sincerity and my own. When Dou Qianni said this, his eyes were fixed on Su Yiyan with a gentle smile. The atmosphere in the office suddenly became subtle. Su Yiyan's face darkened, and Xia Junxing, who was standing by the side, frowned. Su Yiyan not only had a husband, but she also had a child. Was Mr. Dou's words really unintentional or intentional? Xia Junxing felt that the burden on his shoulders had suddenly become much heavier. No matter what, he couldn't let this person be alone with Su Yiyan. It was really too dangerous. Su Yiyan didn't know that in Xia Junxing's eyes, Dou Qianni had already become a toad that wanted to eat swan meat. Unfortunately, she was the swan that was coveted. When she heard Dou Qianni's words, she reflexively recalled the scene of her meeting with Dou Qianni on the day of her son's one-month-old celebration. This person's attitude towards her was really very strange. It's not a matter of sincerity. I did see Hai Yi's sincerity in the proposal, but only? It's just that there's no point in working together. The two companies have different philosophies, so I don't think there's a need to cooperate. Different philosophies? Dou Qianni raised his eyebrows. What makes Miss Su think that the two companies have different philosophies? Is it the actions of my company's employees, or are some artists in the company blind enough to offend other artists in your company? Or is it simply because of Wen Jingping? Su Yiyan's eyes narrowed slightly. She didn't expect Dou Qianni to be so straightforward. He directly pointed out the conflicts between Hai Yi and Dongqing and even mentioned Wen Jingping. Before Su Yiyan could react, she heard him say, "If Miss Su's philosophy is these, then this proposal can still be discussed." "What?" Dou Qianni looked at her deeply and smiled. "I'll solve all the problems you're worried about and give you a satisfactory answer." Chapter 839. Su Yiyan was really shocked this time. Solve? How to solve it? The first two were easy to deal with. What should be rectified, what should be frozen, but what about Wen Jingping? New male lead, wake up, that's the female lead. Even if you don't completely like her, you shouldn't use her as a condition to make a deal with the boss of a rival company. Or was it that the original work's forceful plot, and because of her rebirth as a little butterfly, now had some more heart-wrenching drama to drag her, a passerby who originally wanted to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight, into the water? Su Yiyan's mind was in a mess. For a moment, she didn't know how to respond to the person opposite her. Dou Qianni saw the change in Su Yiyan's expression and continued to smile. "Miss Su, what do you think of this sincerity?" Su Yiyan stared at him for a while and asked directly, "I thought that you wanted Wen Jingping to be the female lead of your company's annual drama because you wanted to promote her. You should have a good relationship with her." "It's just a relationship of interest." "Relationship of interest?" Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows and became interested. "Then you came to me now and offered to sacrifice her." Do you think I'm more valuable than her? Do Qian's smile on his face was slightly restrained, but with some hesitation. You're not the same as her. We're all the same. Su Yian interrupted him. She had calmed down a long time ago, and her gaze towards Do Qian was filled with indifference and mockery. This is what I meant when I said that we have different ideologies. I admit that I do have some grudges with her, but since she has sided with you and you have accepted her, you shouldn't be using her to negotiate with me now. Do Qian furrowed his brows. I accepted her because of some special reasons, but after interacting with her for a long time, I realized that everything she showed was fake. Her purpose for getting close to me wasn't that simple. Since we're using each other, why can't I use her if she can use me? Then if one day you find out that Dongqing and I are not as valuable as you think and can't bring you what you want, will you sell me out without any psychological burden, just like how you treated her? Do Qian was stunned. Liu, who accompanied Do Qian, couldn't help but widen her eyes. It was hard to believe that someone could be so ruthless to their boss. Most importantly, their boss seemed to be more surprised than angry. This woman was really not a simple character. Do Qian was only stunned for a moment, and he soon heard the logical loophole in Su Yian's words. I told you that you're different. She approached me with ulterior motives from the beginning. I'm not in a cooperative relationship with her. At most, I'm relying on her and using her. As for you, I'm truly sincere. But before he could finish his words, he was interrupted. In my opinion, you're all the same. It's not that I'm the same as Wen Jingping, but you're the same as her. I don't know why you're suddenly interested in me and Dongqing, and why you're trying so hard to reach this cooperation with us. But whether it's because of past grievances or the future development of the company, I don't think this cooperation will work. Su Yian stared at Do Qian as she said this. She was just short of directly saying that Wen Jingping's purpose of getting close to you was not pure. Now that you're getting close to me, is your purpose of getting close to me pure? It's not hard to guess what you're thinking. Don't be the pot calling the kettle black. Chapter 840. After Su Yian finished speaking, the room fell silent again. Liu's forehead was already covered in a layer of cold sweat. He was afraid that the audacious Miss Su would be sacrificed to the heavens by his furious boss in the next second. However, to his disappointment, none of the unforeseen events that he had anticipated happened. Do Qian looked calmly at Su Yian and chuckled. You're very smart. Just this point alone makes you completely different from Wen Jingping. Su Yian was speechless. I can take it as you. Are you indirectly mocking someone for being stupid? Since you're so smart, you should have already guessed the real reason why I went through so much trouble to look for you. No, I don't know anything. There was a saying that went, the more you know, the faster you die. She wasn't going to jump into this trap. Unfortunately, even though Su Yian wanted to avoid this trap, Do Qian couldn't let her do as she wished and insisted on dragging her into this trap. Miss Su, or should I call you Store Manager Su or Live Broadcaster Su? I don't know what you're talking about. Su Yian was already prepared and wasn't flustered by his sudden revelation. I was wondering why Mr. Do would suddenly be interested in me, a stranger whom you've only met once. It turns out that you've mistaken me for someone else. Do Qian seemed to have already expected that Su Yian wouldn't admit it. The smile on his face didn't change as he whispered, whether or not I've mistaken you for someone else, we both know in our hearts. Since I'm talking about this in front of Miss Su today, naturally, I already have concrete evidence to prove Miss Su's identity. Su Yian's face darkened slightly. Do Qian's constant little tricks showed that he was suspicious of her identity. Today he said this in front of her. Whether he really knew her identity or was lying to her, Su Yian knew that after today she wouldn't be able to stay out of trouble like before. Su Yian sighed. So, Mr. Do came to my territory in such an imposing manner today and said these words to me. Do you think this matter can be used as a bargaining chip to threaten me? Su Yian couldn't help but sneer. If that's the case, I'm afraid Mr. Do will be disappointed. The reason why I hid my identity was because I felt that there was no need to publicize my little hobby. Now that I've been discovered, I can just make it public. It's not a shameful thing to begin with. After it's made public, it might even help me and my company gain more popularity. It's mutually beneficial and two-way development. Why not? Miss Su seems to be very hostile and prejudiced against me. Do Qian sat in his wheelchair, his expression unchanged. The reason why I pointed out Miss Su's identity at this time is not to threaten Miss Su with this matter, but to ask Miss Su for help. Ask me for help. Su Yian's heart suddenly thumped, but she still maintained a guarded expression on her face. Mr. Do's attitude when asking for help is really strange. Do Qian didn't mind. Miss Su should be able to tell that my health isn't very good and I've been suffering from illness for many years. I went to Miss Su's medicinal cuisine restaurant once by chance and ate some food. I found that the medicinal cuisine in Miss Su's restaurant has a very significant effect on my illness. As Do Channy spoke, he took a test report from Li Yu and handed it to Su Yiyan. Su Yiyan looked at the test report and the corners of her mouth twitched. Chance? You call this a chance? Do you take me for a fool? Chapter 841. Su Yiyan didn't take it. Instead, she looked at Do Channy, raised her eyebrows and chuckled. Mr. Do, you've done so much just to ask me to make a few meals of medicinal cuisine to improve your condition? It's not to improve my condition. It's not to improve my condition. It's to cure it. Su Yiyan's face sank as if she had heard the funniest joke in the world. Mr. Do, you must be joking. Not to mention that I don't have much interaction with Mr. Do, and I haven't agreed to help you. Even if I really help you, I can't give you such an unrealistic guarantee. You must know that even the most respected doctor can't guarantee that he can cure any disease. Do Channy didn't argue with her about this, but talked about another matter. I heard that Miss Su's husband was paralyzed for nearly 10 years because of an accident. The word paralyzed really poked Su Yiyan's reverse scale, and her face instantly turned black. Do Channy acted as if he didn't see anything and continued, but about a year ago he recovered and he recovered very well without any sequelae. My husband hasn't given up on treatment all these years and he will recover very well. Su Yiyan wanted to push the credit of Xuanhuan's recovery to the doctors who had been treating Xuanhuan all these years. Do Channy couldn't let her have her way, just like Miss Su said, some diseases can't be cured just because a doctor said so. The reason why the disease is not good is because the technology is not mature. Medical science is constantly improving, and what can't be cured in the past doesn't mean that it can't be cured in the future. According to Miss Su's words, my illness will be cured sooner or later, won't it? Su Yiyan gave him a perfunctory fake smile. You also said that there will be a day sooner or later. Who can say whether it will be early or late? Anyway, I can't say for sure. In another few hundred years, perhaps a blood disease like Do Channy's could really be cured. Just like cancer, which was once thought to be incurable, wasn't there already a special medicine developed? It's just that other people have to research for a few hundred years. Can you live for a few hundred years? If you had that much time, you wouldn't even know how many lifetimes you'd have reincarnated. Why would you care if you could cure your illness in this lifetime? When Do Channy heard her words, the light in his eyes dimmed a lot, but it quickly returned to normal, as if he was already used to such disappointment. I know it's a bit difficult, but I hope that Miss Su can help me, whether it's to alleviate my illness or to cure it one day in the future. Do Channy hated the feeling of putting his life in the hands of others. But sometimes, fate loved to play tricks on people. The things that you were most afraid of and hated the most were often the things that you couldn't avoid. In the end, you could only helplessly compromise. In exchange, I'm willing to do my best and pay any price that you need or want. Su Yiyan wasn't tempted by the promise he gave. She frowned and said, I just said that the reason why Xuanhuan could recover was because he had been receiving treatment all these years. The doctors around him. Before Su Yiyan could finish, Do Channy had already interrupted her. If what Miss Su said is true after Miss Su's husband recovered, why are these people still unknown? A disability that was once determined to be impossible to recover was completely cured without any sequelae. Just this point alone is enough to make patients and their families, who have lower limbs paralyzed and thought that they had no hope for the rest of their lives, scramble like ducks. But in fact there isn't. Chapter 842. Su Yiyan's expression changed again. This person really came prepared today. Every word he said made her speechless. He told her that he knew everything about the two of them and that all her lies and excuses were useless against him. No matter what you say today, the result will not change. Su Yiyan gritted her teeth in anger. She felt powerless when the right to speak was in the hands of the other party. Perhaps our first impression of each other is not very good. But now, and even in the future, I hope that we can become friends, not friends who use each other as tools or partners. I don't think we can be friends. Su Yiyan did not have many friends, but it was not like she did not have any. Someone like Do Channy, who seemed to be sincere in befriending her, was actually high and mighty from the beginning to the end. He talked about befriending her as if it was a transaction. Su Yiyan knew that she could not afford to be friends with him. Do Channy's expression did not change. He only looked at Su Yiyan with a smile. It's always better to have one more friend than one more enemy. Believe me, whether it's you or your husband, you don't want to have an enemy like me. Su Yiyan was stunned. Her eyes suddenly turned cold. Are you threatening me? A wolf will always be a wolf. It will never turn into a dog, let alone a cat. Even if it was wearing sheep's skin, it would sooner or later show its claws and mercilessly tear you to pieces. I'm just stating the facts. After all, there's nothing a person can't do when they're about to die. Compared to me, a lonely person with chronic illness, Miss Su should have more concerns in this world than I do. As the saying goes, a barefooted person is not afraid of wearing shoes. If it really came to this point, who knew what he would do? This was also one of the main reasons why some people who were diagnosed with terminal illnesses and had a twisted mentality suddenly came to the newspaper. I'm about to die, so why are you still living so well? Since that's the case, let's all die together. If I can drag a few people down with me, it's my gain. It was because of this extremely twisted mentality that so many tragedies were caused. It made people realize how terrible this kind of person was. At that moment, Su Yiyan's anger finally reached its peak. This man, how dare he? How dare he use her family as a threat? How dare he? Dou Qianyi saw the anger in Su Yiyan's eyes. The corners of his lips curled up slightly, but he did not continue to be aggressive. I hope that Miss Su will consider what I just said. It's getting late, so I won't continue to disturb Miss Su's work, Dou Qianyi said as he gave Liu a look. Liu immediately understood and stepped forward to hand over a business card. This is my business card. If Miss Su changes her mind, you can contact me at any time. Of course, if time passes, I will come back to look for Miss Su again. There will be plenty of time in the future. Su Yiyan's face darkened again. He could not wait to throw the name card at Dou Qianyi's face. Dou Qianyi saw Su Yiyan's anger, but the corners of his lips curled up slightly. It was as if he was certain that Su Yiyan would give in one day and contact him on her own accord. When Liu pushed Dou Qianyi out of Su Yiyan's office, he suddenly stopped. Immediately, Su Yiyan heard someone's calm and sorrowful whisper. I just want to live. Su Yiyan's hands subconsciously clenched. Yes, who would want to die if they could live? But what if the person who wanted to live was implicated in the life and death of the people around him? Would he be indifferent to the matter, or would he be a saint who would risk the danger of a backlash in the future to save the person first? Chapter 843. What? Su Yiyan sneered and mocked himself. Who doesn't want to live? But no matter how much you want to live, you shouldn't trample on others. In his previous life, when Jingping was like that, and now Dou Qianyi was like that too. Thinking of this, Su Yiyan's gaze turned cold and gloomy, and his heart hardened. Boss, why do you have to do this? Liu pushed Dou Qianyi out of Dongxing. As soon as he got into the car, he couldn't help but complain. Miss Su didn't have a good impression of you to begin with. After today's incident, I'm afraid she wants to kill you. Dou Qianyi was sitting in the back seat with his eyes closed. When he heard this, he opened his eyes and smiled. If I didn't cause trouble today, would she have a good impression of me? Liu choked. In his opinion, his boss's attitude towards Su Yiyan was already very good. Unfortunately, first impressions were not something that could be easily changed. Dou Qianyi couldn't be gentle, so he decided to use force. Liu wiped the cold sweat off his head and tried to persuade him. Even if Miss Su doesn't listen to force or persuasion, you're still asking for help. Wouldn't this be too? You still want to rely on her to treat your illness. What if she's upset and does something to you during your treatment? If that's the case, I'll have to ask you to help me take revenge. Dou Qianyi didn't care. It's already not easy for my rotten life to last until now. When I die, I'll drag a few more people down with me. That way I won't be too lonely. Liu didn't know why, but he suddenly felt goosebumps all over his body. His intuition told him that Dou Qianyi wasn't joking. Ah, boss, you really know how to joke. Dou Qianyi didn't expose him. He closed his eyes again and said faintly, It's not my style to speak nicely and beg humbly. As the saying goes, try peaceful means before resorting to force. He had already given Su Yiyan a gift. If Su Yiyan did not accept it, then he had a reason to use force. Compared to compromising, he preferred to hide a dagger behind a smile and seize by force. As soon as Dou Qianyi stepped out of Su Yiyan's company, everything that happened in Su Yiyan's office reached Su Yuxuan and Xuanhuan's ears. At that time there were only 4 people in the office. It went without saying who spread the news. Su Yuxuan's face darkened when he found out about this, but he didn't rush to find trouble with Dou Qianyi. Instead, he asked Xia Junxing to report this matter to xuanhuan. In his own words, when Yanyan was at home, he and his father were there to protect her. Now that she was married, her husband had to make the first move. Otherwise, wouldn't his sister's marriage be in vain? Xia Junxing listened to Su Yuxuan's sour complaints and had a hard time holding back his laughter. In the end, he still revealed this matter to xuanhuan. However, he made some adjustments and only conveyed the words Dou Qianyi said to Su Yiyan. He didn't mention Dou Qian's meaningful and ambiguous tone when they spoke. Even so, Xuanhuan's face still darkened after hearing about this matter. Threatening Yin with the safety of his family. How arrogant. Zui Yinbai stood on the side. He still had a smile on his face, but his eyes were terrifyingly cold. Maybe it's because Mr. Dou doesn't have any relatives at home. He has enough to eat and the whole family doesn't have to go hungry. That's why he's so fearless and eager to do whatever he wants. Xuanhuan sneered and said gloomily, "You said that there are still people in the collateral branch of the Dou family alive?" Chapter 844. Well, at that time the Dou family fought for power and made a lot of noise. Most of the people involved are no longer alive. Only the two sons of Dou Qian's uncle were studying abroad at that time. They were not in the country and escaped the disaster. I remember that when the Dou family changed dynasties, the one who fought with Dou Qian the most was his uncle. Yes, Dou Qian's uncle and Dou Qian's father are from different branches. They are not close in terms of blood relationship. It is said that the only bloodline of the Dou family's old master died early due to illness. He had no choice but to choose an heir from the side branch. At that time, the most promising candidates were Dou Qian's father and his uncle. Xuanhuan raised her eyebrows. So, Dou Qian is not considered the main branch's bloodline? The Dou family does not pay special attention to this aspect. Compared to bloodline, they prefer those who are capable. Those who are capable. Xuanhuan's eyes flashed slightly. No wonder every time the power of the Dou family overlapped, there was bound to be a storm of blood. Was it those who were capable or the method of raising poisonous insects to choose the sharpest knife? Dou Qian's uncle is dead? Yes. How did he die? It is said that he was robbed and had a dispute with the robbers. He was stabbed several times. One of the stabs hit a vital point and he died on the spot. Is it related to Dou Qian? For the time being, there is no definite evidence to prove that this matter is related to him. But at that time the Dou family had internal strife. Those who opposed Dou Qian almost all died one after another. Except for one who became a vegetable, most of the others are almost dead. Xuanhuan's eyes flashed slightly. What does it matter if there is evidence or not? What matters is what the two surviving young masters of the Dou family think. Some things, everyone's heart was like a mirror, so it did not matter whether there was evidence or not. How was the relationship between the two of them and the deceased Dou clan's uncle? The relationship between father and son is naturally not bad. If it was really bad, he wouldn't have spent so much effort to send him abroad first. He said that he was going to study abroad, but who knew if it was all part of his plan from the very beginning? It would be best if he succeeded in seizing power, but if he failed, he could at least leave a bloodline for himself and wait for a comeback in the future. How are their abilities? If they were just two idiots, then so be it. Even if they came back, they would only be serving Dou Qian's head. They wouldn't be of much use. Between the two of them, the elder brother is somewhat intelligent, and the younger brother is not stupid. The two of them have always wanted to come back, but due to Dou Qian's influence in the country, they did not dare to act rashly. In other words, they could be used. There's no need to really defeat him. It's enough to disgust him. Compared to getting someone else to do the dirty work, Xuanhuan would rather do it herself. Asking these two people to come out was just to give him an appetizer. Su Yiyin, who had no idea that she had replaced Wen Jingping's role in Dou Qian, became the fuse that caused the tit-for-tat between her husband and the original villain. Now the new male lead was not in a good mood. Dou Qian's sudden appearance caught her off guard. But the previous few encounters allowed Su Yiyin to be mentally prepared. She knew that she would meet him sooner or later. At first, she tried to shift the topic to Wen Jingping and attribute everything to the personal grudges between her and Wen Jingping. She just wanted to buy more time. However, Dou Qian seemed to really not care about Wen Jingping at all. He was not interested in their grudges at all. As a result, before she could say anything, she died in her womb. Chapter 845. System: What's going on with Wen Jingping and Dou Qian? Isn't he the new male lead that Wen Jingping carefully selected as a spare tire? Why isn't he licking Wen Jingping's boots, living and dying for her, smashing walls for her without any complaints? Why is he causing trouble for me all the time? He even said that he could help me deal with Wen Jingping. Is he trying to trick me or is he serious? Are you sure this Dou Qian is really the new male lead? After the systems inspection, Dou Qian is indeed the new male lead that the female lead in this world has chosen for the second time. Then what's going on with him and Wen Jingping? Isn't the male lead in this world unconsciously led by the female lead, and his EQ and IQ would drop for no reason? Just like the previous Hua Xiaofeng, he was obviously proud and arrogant. He didn't even like Su Yiyan, who grew up pampered and received a good education from a rich family, let alone an ugly duckling like Wen Jingping, who was inferior to Su Yiyan in every way. However, it was as if he was possessed and stubbornly treated her as a priceless treasure. No matter how many tricks Wen Jingping used and how much trouble she brought him, he still enjoyed it like a diligent bootlicker. If Wen Jingping hadn't seen that Hua Xiaofeng had been kicked out of the Hua Corporation and had no hope of becoming a cuckold, he might have been led by the nose for a long time. But I think Dou Qianyi doesn't seem to be affected. Although he spent money on Wen Jingping to get the resources of a big IP female lead, he wasn't actually fascinated by Wen Jingping's female lead halo. He listened to her every word and seemed normal. No, from the fact that he could easily bring out Wen Jingping to negotiate with her, this person was very abnormal. The host's progress in stealing the female lead halo has reached 50%, causing the female lead halo's influence on the male lead to greatly decrease. Moreover, the host has various skills provided by the system, under certain conditions, overriding the original female lead's golden fingers. The familiar mechanical voice faintly carried a hint of pride at the end, as if to say, "Look, I've provided you with all these good things, who knows how many times better than the original female lead's half-baked golden fingers. Isn't it normal for the new male lead to give up on the original female lead and look for you to treat his illness? Who would be willing to give up a 5-star luxurious meal and run to torture himself by eating leftovers?" After listening to the system's explanation, Su Yiyan felt that it made a bit of sense. However, her focus wasn't on this but, "System, I found that you've become more and more human." After that, the system on the system on it, on the system on the robot. The system. The system. The system. The system. The system. You? If you're talking about those Hua aprons on the little robots, please forgive me for rejecting. Su Yiyan waited for a while but the system didn't reply. She sighed in disappointment and stopped teasing it. Instead, she asked another question seriously. "System, if Xuanhuan and I hadn't increased the progress of stealing the golden fingers, would Dou Qianyi's illness one day?" The system was silent for a while before giving a thoughtful answer. According to the setting of the original novel, the villain Dou Qianyi's blood disease can only be alleviated, but not cured. Hearing this, Su Yiyan's mind flashed. In the original novel, Dou Qianyi was the villain, so naturally, it was impossible for him to be cured of this disease. However, he was now the world's new male lead, with the male lead halo above his head. It was impossible for him to be mentioned in the same breath as the original novel. Chapter 846. Su Yiyan pondered for a moment, then continued to ask, "Can these things that I have on hand cure him?" "No." "Then how did he?" The system fell silent again. Su Yiyan waited for a while but she did not get an answer. "System? Dou Qianyi is the world's male lead, so he has the same luck as the world's female lead. Moreover, because he hasn't had a large number of gold fingers snatched away like the world's female lead, his luck is slightly stronger." At this point, the system paused for a moment as if it was thinking about how to explain the situation. Su Yiyan noticed this and her eyes narrowed. She could actually feel that the system could not explain everything to her. Most of the time, the system could only tell her certain things through hints, as if it was restricted by something. The host can snatch the gold fingers of the male and female lead, and use them to change your own fate and vice versa. Su Yiyan's eyes narrowed. After she understood the system's meaning, she could not help but swear on the spot. She knew that things were not that simple. So this was what the system was waiting for. Su Yiyan had previously discovered that a large part of the so-called snatching gold fingers was to save the supporting male and female leads who had been used as stepping stones by the male and female lead after their blood had been sucked dry, so as to reduce the public impact that the male and female lead had on this world. These supporting male and female leads could have had beautiful families and limitless futures, but because they had been targeted, not only had they become paper people to be used, but they had also been trampled under their feet and their families had been ruined. Now that she heard the system say this, good heavens! What did it mean to have the world's luck? What did it mean to be different from ordinary people? They were clearly snatching the luck of others and superimposing it on themselves, bringing endless benefits to themselves. They didn't forget to get rid of the donkey after it had outlived its usefulness and killed the person who had no value to them, so as to prevent these people from rising from the ashes and snatching the luck back from them. Su Yiyan took a deep breath, her expression extremely ugly. This should be considered a bug in the world. It's clearly a terminal illness, but just because he's the male lead, there's hope of recovery. Host, don't forget that the world you're in is originally a book. Some epics and dramas could not be guaranteed to be perfect, Not to mention that the foundation of this world came from a cliched Mary Sue romance novel. It would be strange if there were no bugs. Moreover, the world will automatically fix the bugs. A large part of the male lead's recovery will be attributed to good luck, a successful operation with an extremely low success rate. Or someone suddenly had a flash of inspiration and developed a special medicine for this disease, but the raw materials for this type of medicine are rare, it can't be popularized, and so on. Su Yian's expression was subtle. The reason given by the system was really hard to refute. There was no lack of miracles in the history of medicine. There were many reports that people who were diagnosed with terminal illnesses and had a maximum lifespan of 1 or 2 years had lived for 5 or even 10 years because of their good attitude. Xuanhuan's legs were originally diagnosed as impossible to recover, but after he stood up again, how many people would think about the metaphysical factors involved? They would only sigh at his good luck, meeting a good doctor who created a miracle. Some people even suspected that his legs were not as serious as the rumors said, and that everything was just a smokescreen. People would always subconsciously believe what they saw and find good reasons for it. The so-called bug was only a bug in the eyes of insiders like her. In the eyes of others, it was just a miracle that could not be explained with common sense. Chapter 847. Receiving Su Yian's praise, little Xuanhuan blushed and said shyly, "Protecting the little master is what Xuanhuan should do." Dun Dun on the side saw that Su Yian praised Xuanhuan but not itself, and seemed to be a little dissatisfied. It ran to Su Yian's feet and circled around. Silly Boy followed behind the dog father and also circled around Su Yian. The father and son circled around for a long time and found that Su Yian did not respond at all. They couldn't help but go forward and rub Su Yian's calf. Only then did Su Yian notice Dun Dun and mistakenly thought that it was concerned about Zai Zai. She quickly hugged the baby and leaned over to comfort it. "Dun Dun, do you want to see the baby? Don't worry, the baby is fine." Dun Dun barked twice and sat on Su Yian's right foot unhappily. Silly Girl followed suit. She walked to Su Yian's left foot and sat down. Su Yian, who had 2 dogs on her feet. Ahem? Uncle Zhang saw this scene and coughed lightly. He smiled faintly and said, "They may have felt angry that they had helped just now, but young madam only praised Xuanhuan and not them." Su Yian was surprised. They also helped. After Xuanhuan chased after them, she snatched the young master back from this woman. These 2 followed behind Xuanhuan, and when they saw this woman still wanted to come over to snatch the child, they bit her. Where did they bite? Ahem? Uncle Zhang's old face was slightly red and he did not answer. Instead, it was a young girl on the side who held back her laughter and interrupted, "The place with the most meat. These 2 little guys bit so fiercely that they almost pulled people's pants off." Su Yian, Xuanhuan, this trick was a little familiar. Woof. Dun Dun seemed to know that someone was mentioning its heroic appearance. It raised its head proudly and barked twice, its wet dog eyes full of praise. The corner of Su Yian's mouth twitched slightly. She thought to herself that she did not know what was wrong with this dog of hers. It especially liked to bite the place with the most meat. However, considering that the 2 dogs had indeed made a contribution this time, Su Yian was still generous with her praise. Dun Dun and Silly Boy also did a good job and protected the baby. Dun Dun stood up with a rustle and shook its tail like a propeller. Little Dun even patted Su Yian's calf and snorted, showing its mouth full of small steel teeth. It seemed to be saying, "Humph, don't you see who's protecting this little cub? How dare she steal their cub? It's good enough that she didn't bite her to death." Silly Boy did not think so much. She stuck out her tongue and stared at her dog father, nodding from time to time to show her agreement. Su Yian looked at the 2 silly boys and really could not bear to look at them, so she could only put her attention back on Xuanhuan. How did Xuanhuan know that this bad guy was going to steal her brother away? Because of the surveillance. Surveillance? Xuanhuan's eyes flickered slightly and he explained to her, Xuanhuan is a family protection robot. It can analyze whether the other party will hurt the owner from the surveillance images and the behavior of people, and then react accordingly. Su Yian was slightly stunned. Only then did she remember that ever since Xuanhuan entered their house, every corner of the house had been installed with surveillance cameras. At that time, she thought that it was nothing, but now it seemed that it was because Xuanhuan was only focused on the construction of the courtyard at that time, and there was no one in the house to cause trouble, so there was no place for her to use her talents. Now that there was a baby in the house, and there was such a scheming traitor, the role of these little things was immediately revealed. Chapter 848. Yin Yin. Xuanhuan had also rushed back after receiving the call. As soon as she got out of the car, she ran into Su Yian, whose legs had turned to jelly. She rushed over to support Su Yiyan before she fell. Baby, baby. Su Yiyan's face was as white as a sheet. She did not dare to think about what she would do if something really happened to the child. It's okay, it's okay. The child is fine. Uncle Zhang and the others found out early. The child is not injured. Really? Su Yiyan's eyes widened. She grabbed Xuanhuan's hand as if she was holding on to her only life-saving straw. She was panicked and pitiful. Seeing her like this, Xuanhuan's anger rose to the peak. She hugged Su Yiyan tightly and comforted her gently. Of course it's true. I've confirmed it with Uncle Zhang. The child is fine. He's fine. Nothing happened to him. Su Yiyan definitely believed Xuanhuan. But at this time, if she did not see the child with her own eyes and confirm that he was safe, it would be futile no matter what others said. Xuanhuan naturally understood this point. As she spoke, she carried the child and rushed inside. Because of what had just happened, the atmosphere in the house was unusually solemn. When Su Yiyan and Su Yiyan entered the hall, they immediately saw the family's servants and security guards gathered in the hall. In the middle of them, a female servant in her early 40s was tied up with rope. She sat on the ground with her head slightly lowered, looking dispirited. The little Zai, who had almost been stolen, was in Uncle Zhang's arms. His big eyes were rolling around, completely unaware of what had happened to him not long ago. Su Yiyan's eyes were full of Zai. When she saw the child, she immediately rushed over. Young madam. When Uncle Zhang saw Su Yiyan coming over, he immediately let go of the child in his arms. When the little boy saw his mother, he happily waved his chubby little arms and giggled. Su Yiyan hugged him and carefully checked him from head to toe. After making sure that he was really okay, she finally felt relieved. She lowered her head and rubbed Zai's chubby face. She complained softly, "You little brat, you really scared your mother to death." Xuanhuan had followed Su Yiyan all the way here. Now she was standing beside Su Yiyan. Looking at the smiling faces of the mother and son, her heart softened a lot. But that didn't mean that he had forgotten the anger he felt when he first received the call and learned that his son had almost been stolen. What the hell is going on? Xuanhuan's sharp gaze swept across the maid on the ground. If looks could kill, she would not have had the chance to speak at all. This maid could be considered as an old member of the family Hua. She knew how powerful Xuanhuan was. Being stared at by him like this, the cold sweat on her forehead became more severe. Her lips trembled slightly and she couldn't speak for a long time. When Uncle Zhang saw this, his face sank. He stepped forward and explained to the two of them, "Young master, it's like this. It turned out that about an hour ago, after the nanny fed the little boy milk and coaxed him to sleep, she suddenly received a courier call and went out for a while. In less than 10 minutes, the maid sitting on the ground sneaked into the baby's room and carried out the baby who was still sleeping soundly. If Xuanhuan hadn't reacted in time and snatched the child back before this woman carried the young master out of the door, the consequences would have been unimaginable." When Uncle Zhang said this, Su Yiyan and Xuanhuan were both stunned. They subconsciously turned to look at Xuanhuan, who was wearing a pink apron. Su Yiyan was the first to react. She freed a hand and patted Xuanhuan's little head. She praised, "So it was Xuanhuan who snatched little brother back. That's great." Chapter 849. Receiving Su Yiyan's praise, little Xuanhuan blushed and said shyly, "Protecting the little master is what Xuanhuan should do." Dun Dun, who was at the side, saw that Su Yiyan praised Xuanhuan but did not praise it. It seemed to be a little dissatisfied and ran around Su Yiyan's feet. It followed behind the dog daddy and also circled around Su Yiyan. The father and son circled Su Yiyan for a long time and realized that Su Yiyan had no reaction at all. They couldn't help but move forward and nudge Su Yiyan's calf. Su Yiyan only noticed Dun Dun now and mistakenly thought that he was concerned about the baby. She quickly hugged the baby and leaned over to comfort him. "Dun Dun, do you want to see the baby? Don't worry, the baby is fine." Dun Dun barked twice and sat on Su Yiyan's right foot unhappily. Following suit, Dun Dun walked to Su Yiyan's left foot and sat down as well. Su Yiyan, who had 2 dogs on her feet, was speechless. Ahem. Uncle Zhang saw this scene and coughed softly. He smiled faintly and said, "They might be angry that young mistress only praised Xuanhuan and not them when they helped just now." Su Yiyan was surprised. They helped too. After Xuanhuan chased after her, she took the little master back from this woman. These two followed behind Xuanhuan. When they saw that this woman wanted to take the child back, they bit her. Where did they bite? Ahem? Uncle Zhang blushed and didn't answer. However, a young girl on the side held back her laughter and said, "It was the place with the most meat." These two little guys bit so fiercely that they almost pulled her pants off. Su Yiyin was speechless. Xuanhuan was speechless. This trick was a little familiar. Woof. Dun Dun seemed to know that someone was talking about its heroic appearance. It raised its head proudly and barked twice, its watery eyes full of praise. The corner of Su Yiyin's mouth twitched slightly. He thought to himself, I don't know what's wrong with my dog. It only likes to bite the places with the most human flesh. However, considering that the two dogs did make a contribution this time, Su Yiyin was not stingy with his praise. Dun Dun and Silly also did a good job protecting the babies. Dun Dun stood up and wagged its tail like a propeller. Little Jianghu even patted Su Yiyin's calf and showed its mouth full of steel teeth. It was as if he was saying, Humph, don't you know who's protecting the little brat? She dared to steal their little brat. It's good enough that they didn't bite her to death. Silly girl, on the other hand, didn't think too much about it. She stuck out her tongue and stared at her dog father, nodding her head from time to show her agreement. Su Yiyin looked at the two silly girls and couldn't bear to look at them directly. She had to focus her attention back on Xuanhuan. How did Xuanhuan know that this bad guy was going to steal my brother? Because of the surveillance. Surveillance? Xuanhuan's eyes flashed slightly and he explained to her, Xuanhuan is a family protection robot. It can analyze whether the other party will hurt the owner from the images and character behavior in the surveillance and react accordingly. Su Yiyin was slightly startled. Only then did she remember that since Xuanhuan entered their house, every corner of the house had been installed with surveillance. At that time she felt that there was something wrong. Now it seemed that it was because Xuanhuan was only focused on the construction of the courtyard at that time, and there was no one in the house to cause trouble. Now that there was a baby in the house and there was such a wicked thief, the role of these little things was suddenly shown. Chapter 850. Su Yiyin was both scared and relieved. He coldly glanced at the woman on the ground, lowered his head and couldn't help but rub Zai Zai's chubby face. After making Zai Zai giggle, he reluctantly handed the child to Xuanhuan and said, Xuanhuan, be good. Take your brother upstairs with Dun Dun and the others. When master and father have settled this matter, we'll go up to find you. Xuanhuan received the order and immediately took the child upstairs. Su Yiyin watched the little ones leave until they were out of sight. After confirming that they wouldn't disturb the child, his eyes fell on the culprit. What else do you have to explain? The woman's eyes wandered and her face was full of guilt. Why did you do that? The sudden angry shout scared the woman and she said with a trembling voice, I just saw that the young master was bored in the room, so I wanted to take him out for a walk to get some fresh air and some sun. I really didn't want to steal the child. I was wronged. Bored in the room? Get some fresh air? Su Yiyin sneered. Do you think all of us here are fools? Bringing a sleeping child out to bask in the sun, do you want to give him some fresh air or do you want to burn him to death? Even if the baby was really bored in the room, you could have told Uncle Zhang and the nanny to take the baby out for a walk in the yard. Who allowed you to secretly take the initiative to touch him when the nanny wasn't around? And who gave you the right to take him out alone? Every time Su Yiyin said a sentence, she took a step forward, and the woman subconsciously moved back in her tied-up position. In the end, she had nowhere to retreat and bumped into the edge of the sofa behind her. Trembling, she said, I'm telling the truth. I really didn't have any other intentions. I just wanted to take the young master out for a walk. But I didn't think so much. It was indeed a little thoughtless, but I really didn't have any bad intentions. Young madam, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Please forgive me this time. I promise I won't do it again. Again? This kind of thing once is scary enough. Do you still want to have a second time? Su Yiyin was too lazy to talk nonsense with her. Uncle Zhang, call the police. Since she doesn't want to talk about it here, we'll talk about it in the police station. Yes, young madam. Uncle Zhang turned around to make the call. The woman's expression changed slightly and she panicked. No, don't call the police, don't call the police. If you didn't do anything wrong, why are you worried about calling the police? Su Yiyin saw her panicked look. You said that you just wanted to take the child out to bask in the sun. There are so many pairs of eyes in the house, including surveillance cameras, that can prove that you want to steal the child. Everyone had their reasons. The best way was to call the police and let an impartial person investigate and judge. Uncle Zhang, call the police. No, don't. The woman fell to the ground and struggled to move towards Su Yiyin. Su Yiyin looked at her condescendingly. He didn't feel sorry for her at all. His tone became colder and colder. I'll give you one last chance. Tell me the truth, why did you steal my child? The woman trembled and lowered her head. Her face showed that she was struggling. Su Yiyin didn't have that much time to waste with her. Uncle Zhang. I'll talk. The woman screamed and looked up at the people around her who were looking at her coldly. Knowing that she couldn't escape today, she gritted her teeth and said, I didn't want to steal the child. Someone asked me to help take the child out. He said that as long as I brought the child out to him, he would give me a sum of money. Chapter 851. Su Yiyin and Xuanhuan looked at each other. They were not surprised. It was impossible for them to believe that there was nothing fishy about a family thief helping to steal a child. However, compared to the person in front of them who had suddenly done all this stupidly, Su Yiyin and Uncle Qiao were obviously more willing to believe that there was a shady mastermind behind her who was manipulating all of this. Who is it? The female servant looked up and met Xuanhuan's extremely cold eyes. She shivered and whispered, It's the eldest young master. The eldest young master was what the old servants in the old mansion who had been working at Xuanhuan's parents had called wuxihan. Even after Xuanhuan's parents had passed away and Xuanhuan had taken over the old mansion and parted ways with wuxihan, they had not changed the way they addressed him. This answer was unexpected for Su Yiyin and Xuanhuan, but it was also reasonable. What did he ask you to do? He asked me to find an opportunity to secretly take the young master out and hand him over to him. As long as I can do this, he will give you money? Yes. How much? 5 million. Su Yiyin sneered. Wuxihan, you bought my son for only 5 million yuan. Wuxihan really made a good deal. When Uncle Zhang and the others heard Su Yiyin's words, they looked at the woman with disdain and disappointment. Most of the people who could stay in the old mansion had worked in the family Hua since Xuanhuan's parents' generation. Most of these people had received favors from Xuanhuan's parents. Even during Xuanhuan's most difficult period, she had never mistreated them. Therefore, most of them were very loyal and would not cause any trouble under normal circumstances. In their eyes, people like this woman, who would sell their masters for a little money, were no different from traitors. Not to mention that her target was the little young master whom they looked at like the apple of their eye. She was simply insane. The woman met everyone's wary gazes and panicked. She begged for mercy in a loud voice, Young master, young madam, I really had no choice but to do such a wicked thing. My son gambled and owed a huge debt. If he didn't pay it back, those people would chop off his fingers and beat him to death. My husband died early and left me with this son. I really can't watch him get beaten to death. The woman's face was covered in tears and snot. She cried pitifully. Coincidentally, the eldest young master found me and asked me to help him sneak the little young master out. I thought that since eldest young master is little young master's uncle, he definitely wouldn't hurt little young master, so I agreed to eldest young master's request and helped him with this matter. That's enough. Do you think he won't do anything to the baby because he's the baby's uncle? Or do you think that as long as you finish this job, you can get the money, and as long as you have the money, your son will be able to pay off his debts and won't be chopped off? The woman did not expect Su Yiyin to expose her true thoughts. Her eyes darted around for a moment, but she quickly calmed down and said in a sorrowful voice, Young madam, I was at my wit's end and had no choice but to do this kind of thing in a moment of confusion. Little young master is fine now. Please forgive me this time. It would have been better if she did not say this. Once she said this, Su Yiyin was filled with anger. She was so angry that she went forward and kicked the woman to the side. You were at your wit's end? You were at your wit's end and wanted to use my son as a sacrifice in exchange for your son's safety. You people are not worthy.